Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. More. Next session is with my teacher who taught me this cardiology thing little bit, which I could learn with his effort, which I could learn. Dr. Deepak sir is our next speaker. The topic is how we miss the diagnosis in cardiology. For the session, we have chairpersons. For the session, we have chairpersons, Dr. PG Sarkar sir, who is a senior consultant in cardiometabolic diseases at Ranchi, well-known academician. He has various publications, presentations, and chairperson at various conferences. Dr. Arun Sarkar sir, who is a senior consultant physician and cardiologist at Ranchi. Dr. Sent Marai Samuel, the senior most clinical cardiologist of our society based at Chennai. She is known to be a sports person and charity medical services. Dr. Arun More, who is based at as a clinical cardiologist at Latur. He has various publications, presentations, and has acted as chairperson. He is an important person in our association. He has his presentation at Lancet. He is a wonderful work on hypertension. And with that, I request Dr. PG Sarkar sir and Anu Sarkar sir to kindly introduce our speaker of the day, Dr. Deepak Gupta sir, who is a senior consultant interventional cardiologist at Pulse Hospital, Ranchi. And sir ko Vishesh Pranav, he is my teacher. Thank you so much.
Good morning. Very good morning.
Good morning.
Independence Day.
Happy Independence Day to all.
Happy Independence Day.
And good morning to the chairpersons and the speaker. I know Dr. Deepak Gupta for more than 3 decades. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
I had the chance to observe his metamorphosis from his studentship to a very laborious intern and to again to a PG student with all ambition and dream, and then to a very active and full-fledged cardiologist. What I like in him is the most important thing is very much academic, not only academic, he is very much clinical, which I like very much. And he is always precise to his speech and precise to his work, whatever he does. I would like Dr. Arun Sarkar, he is also very close to Dr. Deepak Gupta, to give a further introduction of Dr. Deepak Gupta. Over to Arun Sarkar.
Thank you. Good morning. This is a good platform for interaction. What I say about Deepak, he has saved my life. He has put a stent in me. Thank you, Deepak. And I think this is a very common topic, how we miss the diagnosis in the cardiology. So I'll not waste time. Deepak, please start the topic.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for nice word, Dr. P. Sarkar sir and Dr. Arun Sarkar sir. So what I am just doing today is just showing some real life story. I am audible clearly? So I am showing some
Yes, sir.
real life story. And I think it will be helpful to all of us in a routine practice. Rather than showing some hot topics, we have some cases which I also missed sometime, and I put in some information that everybody should be very vigilant, especially in the COVID era, when we are likely to miss the diagnosis a lot. So
Sound is not clear. There is a lot of echo.
hello.
Oh, it's all right now.
Hello.
Yeah, it's all right.
So I am showing some real life stories, some cases which can give you some clue to how we miss the diagnosis in cardiology. I am audible to all now? Hello?
Yeah, you are well audible.
Yeah. So this is the first case. He's a 36-year male patient with came with the hospital with uneasiness in the chest. The diagnosis. This is clearly a wide complex tachycardia. So this is clearly a ventricular tachycardia. So patient in the giddiness and chest pain. So next step, obviously, in emergency department, there will be a DC shock. So all, I think all everyone will agree that DC shock will revert this rhythm into the sinus rhythm. So it is rightly done in the emergency and patient converted to sinus rhythm very quickly. So this is the ECG which seen after the cardioversion. So there is a ST elevation, some Cobing 18 version. So what the resident done and that hospital, they thrombolized the patient with the STK. So I think at that time he was in hurry and he have given the thrombolysis to this patient. What he have done, he has after the thrombolysis, the post thrombolysis ECG, same, no change in any pattern of the ECG. Patient went to home, there is no further complication, and see what happened after 3 months, same symptom. Patient presented with the same symptoms and went to the another hospital where the same ventricular tachycardia was found. So again, the resident there in the ER has given the DC shock and patient again reverted to sinus rhythm. And this is again the same story, and this time the patient was thrombolized with tenecteplase, thinking that is a re-MI and tenecteplase was given. And post thrombolysis again the same ECG. Third time after few months he again presented to our hospital with the same ECG, ventricular tachycardia. What we have done, we have seen the ECG. It was nothing but an hypertrophic cardiomyopathy which was presented with the VT, ventricular tachycardia, which is a life-threatening condition you all know. So what we have done, we have done the angio, that was the normal, and then we put in a AICD. So the story of that patient. So what is the message behind this? So do not jump on the ECG only. Echocardiography is very, very essential before doing any pharmaco or invasive therapy. Don't jump on the only ECG and symptoms. Echocardiography is one of the very essential part whenever you want to do any pharmaco-invasive therapy. I think this is the second case, which is an 18-year girl with a recurrent episode of hyperventilation followed by the convulsion. Diagnosed as a panic attack. So on alprazolam with a high dose. When he come in the hospital, repeated admission in the multiple hospital with some sort of treatment, and this time the ECG shown absolutely looking normal, and that's why that young patient has received the antipsychotic treatment. Echocardiography was done, it was shown to the normal study. Very closely, when you look the ECG, you find that some intervals are high. It's very easy to look at all the intervals. We always forget to see all the intervals, and that lady had a long QT syndrome, and there is a multiple formula which is for calculating the QT intervals. The different formulas are used. Most commonly is the Bajet formula, the QTC by Q2 by divided by square root of R. So that we have missed and the various time. And simply that person was taken as a long Q2 syndrome and treated accordingly. It should be very useful to know that the thumb is that normal QT is less than half the preceding RR interval. This is the simple rule. When you see the ECG, you can calculate the QT interval and accordingly you can interpret. So what is the message here? Any episodic symptoms in a young female is not a panic attack. Look at closely the ECG and need careful analysis of the ECG. This is the third case. very interesting that 46-year male patient with a chest pain and dyspnea. Look at that. What will be the next step? You know, the ST elevation in the inferior lids. So next step is to give the either thrombolysis or do the primary angioplasty. But you know, the echo again is missed. If you miss, you find that patient has a cardiac tamponade giving rise to ST elevation with tachycardia. So that was the pericardiocentesis was done and patient improved. So just message is don't jump, look at the all point of view, and the ST changes is not always because of the SCS treatment, not always need the SCS treatment. Pericarditis pain, look at the history. The pericarditic pain is sharp and worse on the respiration, movement, lying flat, and is elevated by the sitting forward. It can follow by a viral illness, and ECG shows the widespread saddle separate ST elevation. So don't misguide and don't jump on the giving the thrombolysis. If you give the thrombolysis to this patient, this will be the hazardous. This is another interesting story that this is all real life. A 56-year female patient, hypertensive patient with a chest pain and trophy positive. So immediately we did the angiogram. You can see the critical lesion in the proximal LAD, very critical lesion, and the angioplasty was done simultaneously. What happened? Next morning, severe chest pain with the hypotension. So we look for the fresh ECG changes with no bleeding, no hematoma, no pericardial effusion, and we have done the X-ray. Look at the X-ray which is done previously not seen. What you are finding here? Your finding is the mediastinal widening, and really we have missed what is very dangerous is the dissection of the aorta. That patient had a dissection of the aorta. Clearly you see the flap in the ascending aorta. So this is clearly a dissection of the ascending aorta. We missed it, and we have done the angioplasty of the LAD, which was the incidental finding. Only confusion arises because of the TROP-T was positive. So you can see that TROP-T can be positive in dissection of the aorta, and multiple times we give a wrong treatment. So patient referred to the cardiac surgeon. Dr. Sanjay here is the patient, but could not survive even after the surgery. This was a big mistake for all of us. So what is the message behind that? Proper history, X-ray chest and echo before intervention is must to rule out the life-threatening condition. Many times aortic dissection, acute pulmonary embolism and pneumothorax we missed, and you jump for the cath lab and do some sort of intervention, and sometimes you have some lesion in the coronary artery. So this is wrong and should always be looked after. This is another story. A 50-year doctor friend. This is very interesting also. Is my friend's batchmate husband, and he had a severe while swimming in the club. Strong family history of stroke in the young. He was a diabetic, well controlled, HbA1c 6.5, and not is a non-hypertensive. CT shows the anterior cerebral artery involvement. ECG was normal. Echo was normal, lipid was normal range. So he received the thrombolysis within 60 minutes in Banaras. Only few residual disability was there, and some memory impairment was there because of the anterior cerebral artery involvement. Back to the normal activity within a month, and then he planned to go to Australia as a vacation trip. I suggested my friend to get a Holter, repeated echo, preferably the transesophageal echo and the coagulation profile. Holter for 1 week, ideally a patient of young stroke, we have to see the paroxysmal or intermittent AF. So Holter ideally should be for 1 week. So there is a 1 week Holter was done, so no AF episode seen. So transthoracic echocardiography in the VNS was normal, Varanasi. Coagulation profile only have a raised fibrinogen level. So what happened next? He came to the Ranchi. He underwent a transesophageal echo. We clearly had an PFO, very clear cut. You have seen the color Doppler study. We have a contrast study also, and transesophageal very clearly shows the PFO. This is the contrast study. In the transesophageal echo, the contrast is going from the right to the left. And this is on the second stage of the Valsalva. Always do the Valsalva when you are looking for the PFO. So what is the next? I advised him for the PFO closure. This is a recent advance in the PFO, or you see when the patient presents with the multiple time stroke, we advise usually the PFO closure whenever you find the PFO. But the problem is that PFO can be found in the 25% of the normal persons. So there is a difference in the opinion, and the cardiologist versus neurologist. Cardiologists say you need a PFO closure. Neurologists say that PFO normally found in 25% of person, and it was a diabetic vasculopathy because patient was a diabetic. So what happened next? Repeat stroke in anterior cerebral artery after 2 months of the first episode. You find the ischemic changes in the brain. So what happens? You were highly confused. I referred him to go enhance because it is an academic institution and it's better to discuss rather than moving in a different private hospital. So they discussed the cases there for 2 days, and there is a repeat MRI was done and repeat echo TE done, and they finally decided that this is because of the PFO, and the PFO closure was done in that patient, and they are after PFO closure symptom free since 1.5 years, went to the trip and still is fine. So PFO is the one of the important thing which usually miss. If you find any patient young stroke, always look for the paroxysmal AF and the PFO. This is another case study. A 56-year female patient with a jaw pain only, diabetic, hypertensive, hypothyroidism, and multiple drugs. This is a common mistake. It's not very rare, but a common mistake. When to the dentist, tooth extraction was done, jaw pain not relieved. So what happened? Jaw pain radiated to the back and left arm. No chest pain at all, only jaw pain. So this time the orthopedic consultation and the ECG first and then X-ray. The orthopedic consultant advised the ECG first and then X-ray. That is the important thing. So patient had ECG almost normal. There is nothing abnormal, no abnormality seen in this ECG, no ST elevation at all. Cervical spine will also seems to be normal. So what happened next? Not relieved at all, advised traction. So kept some osteophyte was detected in the cervical spine X-ray. You know, normally you can get some osteophytes. So kept on the traction, kept on the cervical traction for 2 days, pain not relieved. After 1 week, he had a massive posterior valve. There is a long RBIB in the B1, and there is a posterior leads B4, B5, B6. So you clearly find some changes there. So what is the message in this case? That proper history again is very, very important. Pain can have a localized in the jaw. You may not get any pain in the chest or back, sometimes only localized in the jaw. So involve the cardiologist in the left arm pain and jaw pain always, not only the dentist and the orthopedic. Repeat ECG is very, very useful. Normal ECG, do not roll out the ISD as a rule. You all know. These are, I think the last case is a doctor, my 1 year senior, complained of chest pain on the exertion, advised TMT. This is always, this is also the misguiding practice sometimes. TMT negative for after completion of 3rd stage. So reassurance for the treatment in that cases. And what happened after 15 days, same complaint, chest pain on minimal exertion, advice CAG. I advise CAG straightforward. He requested to do TMT again. So repeat TMT was done. So negative again negative for inducible ischemia for 7 minutes. TMT terminated because of the fatigue, no chest pain at that time. So he went back to the home and received the alprazolam, pentosids, Selcal, paracetamol, whatever these things. Came again me after 2 days. My pain relieved by sublingual nitrate. That's the history he is given. My pain relieved by the sublingual nitrate. Please do my angiography straightforward now. Surprisingly, I've done that. There is a triple vessel disease, diffuse disease in all the arteries, and then I advised to go for the surgery. His daughter had an exam and he refused the coronary bypass surgery. He told me that I want an angioplasty. Dr. Kapoor, cardiac surgeon, was there at that time in the Apollo, and he advised it's not possible to do a angioplasty in this diffuse artery. You have to go for the surgery. Then finally, he went Delhi. He underwent angioplasty, but he had a problem at that time during angioplasty. He shifted in the Scott. Doctor was treated. Dr. Trihan was treated him by bypass surgery, put a 3 graft in all the artery. So the message is, in this case, negative treadmill test is not a proof of the absence of significant coronary artery disease. Particularly when you have a triple vessel disease, even the ECG you find a normal, echocardiography normal. So everything you have to decide on the history. So message is regard the symptoms, interpret the symptoms, and do the needful, not only the investigations. The important part is the history, especially in the COVID area also, when you are not touching the patient too much, when you are not doing putting the stethoscope, the history is very, very important. And according to history, you can go for the investigation. Thank you very much for attention. These are my all friends.
Thank you, Dr. Deepak Gupta. These are wonderful presentations. And actually, my experience is I am having this practice for last 40 years. When we started practicing over here, we had got a very, very primitive sort of setup. Even our ICC was not properly equipped. And from then on, only we used to learn, because we have got a very, very bigger facilities. That though the sky is the limit of the investigations, Osler says that proper history and proper widening of your imagination can minimize the number of the investigation, and you can diagnose many wonderful things with the history only. So the takeaway message from you is that history is so important, and 1 or 2 simple investigation is not sufficient. My clinical experience is, again, in the last 10 years, I have seen at least 3 cases of pneumothorax who had been treated, and even in 2 of the cases, the antithrombotic agent were given, and they are having the pneumothorax. So it's a wonderful presentation you have given, and I hope
We learn from our teacher. The history part is very, very important. Even when you are an intervention cardiologist, even when you are believe on the so much investigation, but history part you can't neglect.
history part is very, very important, which these days we are rather all the time we are neglecting. So this is very important, and particularly now, again, when we are most of the time probably giving in the what is called advices to the patient by your virtual pictures and virtual investigations. The history is most important. Now I hand over to the other chairpersons for their comments.
Thank you, Dr. Deepak. We learned so many things by your presentation, a nice presentation. Especially you have given the paramount importance over the history taking, that makes the pillars of the diagnosis. And then the ECG. The single ECG is not sufficient. In your presentation, you have shown that the repeat ECG, the TMT also. You have also given importance to the other investigations, such like the X-ray. And the echo. Echo is very, very important. So even nowadays, we are also doing the strain echocardiography. So we'll discuss the later on the strain echocardiography, but we have seen so many undiagnosed cases have been diagnosed by the echocardiography, the TMT. And the thing is that understanding of the whole thing. So nice presentation. Every day we learn so many things. Thank you. Carry on.
Thanks, sir.
Dr. Sendamre from Chennai. I've been working in the cardiology department for nearly over 35 years. Doctor, it is a very good presentation and a lot of mistakes we have seen like this. And I was earlier working with Dr. KP Misra and then with Dr. KM Chiri. So a lot of things we learned, and especially women and acute coronary syndrome. We always, the symptoms we always miss out because they present in a very different, atypical way. And we have to be very careful, and yours really taught us a lot. And thank you very much, Doctor.
Over here, I interrupt here. I still remember one of my case. He came to me, डॉक्टर साहब अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है. तो हम बोला अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है, देखे. I did the ECG and the common test which has been done, nothing was available. Next day he again came, अच्छा नहीं लग रहा, आप एक बार फिर एक ECG कर लीजिए. And out of disgust, I asked my assistant to get an ECG done, and I just saw that there is massive anteroseptal infarction. So this अच्छा नहीं लग रहा is also very important thing in our history.
अभी तो अच्छा नहीं लग रहा. एक पेशेंट परसों एक पेशेंट अच्छा नहीं लग रहा बोल के दे went for the COVID test, and COVID test come to be positive. Then अच्छा नहीं लग रहा, it was all correlated with the COVID. And when
Nowadays everybody is
entry वाला mic, it was the entry वाला mic,
Yeah.
and associated with the COVID positive.
Most of the time over here, now I am seeing that अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है नहीं. Most of the time the patients who are coming without fever, बहुत कमजोरी लग रहा है, बहुत कमजोरी लग रहा है. Beware of COVID. This is a very dangerous thing. Right?
And our experience there was simple X-ray, X-ray chest, plain X-ray chest. We miss without that situs influence.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Yes, Dr. Arun Mo.
Hello. Yeah, I'm more. Thank you for
Yeah,
highlighting such a very important topic. And especially what I would like to highlight is the error starts from taking the ECG itself. Yeah, and I think whenever the first, so wherever we come across ECGs, as doctors, we should look whether the ECGs has been done the right way, because most of the times the nurses or some of the ward boy will be doing the ECGs. I think the error starts from there. And then very practical. What I find is that the general practitioners make a lot of mistakes in diagnosis. So missing diagnosis starts from there itself. Many times we have seen patients have symptoms. So that is very important. And very importantly in this COVID, what many cardiologists, many times we have seen patients do have acute. I think it was very nice presentation and very very important in this COVID. Many times I have seen general practitioners and very important ECGs has chosen by cardiology. Thank you, Dr. Veer, for inviting me as well.
Thank you so much. We have a question from Dr. Shrishti Sagar. Dr. Sagar, please.
Sir, thank you.
Dr. Sagar, you are not audible. Dr. Sagar, you are not audible.
Good morning, sir. This is Dr. Ishwarchandra Vidyasagar.
Yes, you are not. Your voice is cracking, Dr. Saab.
Good morning, sir. This is Dr. Iswarchand Vidyasagar. Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, tell
Yeah,
us.
now audible.
Actually, sir, thank you for nice teaching by Dr. Gupta, sir, and Dr. Sarkar, sir. One thing problem we are facing at PSC, away from the cardio zone, sir, we are having ECG facilities, DC facilities, and some finding are there in ECG. At that time, we have to decide what to do. Although we have been taught, don't teach ECG. In such situation, what to do, sir? By us, posted in PSC and remote areas away from the Ranchi headquarters. It is.
This is a good question that when we find an ECG and some abnormality in the ECG, it is always better if you interpret the symptom according to your ECG, see the ECG according to your symptoms. If a patient has chest pain, look for the minor ST changes. If a patient has shortness of breath, look for the according things in the ECG. And you are not sure about the ECG interpretation. We have a lot of, the WhatsApp. If you can send to your senior the WhatsApp ECG and ask what is the finding, what are the symptoms. You can interpret and take the help of the seniors from the WhatsApp. Is saying a lot of doctors in the PSC. They are sending the ECG that I think this is the ECG looking normal. When I ask what is the symptoms, this is the symptoms. I think I say this is not a simple things. Ask him to come Ranchi, get checkup, and you find sometimes the critical LED disease, critical left main disease. So discussing with the the senior and sending the ECG in the electronic media and asking the advice with the senior is very, very important.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, take the help of WhatsApp whenever required. This is the most important thing and easily available thing to check. You can have your opinion from the seniors.
Thank
Any
you,
other
sir.
questions?
Yeah, I do have a suggestion.
There's a question. There's a question in the chat box. Can you please say what treatment was given for the 18-year-old girl with long QT? Did she have ICD and beta blockers?
Yeah. We have given ICD because she was very much symptomatic, and the family history. There was family history, so better to put an ICD in long QT syndrome when there is a recurrent symptom. Hi, Dr. Lalit Kapoor.
Hi.
Good morning.
Hi. Nice talk. Thank you. Enjoyed.
Morning, Dr. Lalit Kapoor.
Hi, sir. How are you? Doing nice to see you.
Fine.
Lovely to
There's
see
a
you.
wonderful weather over here in Ranchi.
Yeah.
How is that over there? I hope.
Weather here is very good, but COVID is not very good. Lots of COVID.
Right.
Dr. More wants to say something.
I
Yeah, Dr. Mode.
had a suggestion for that. A question from Dr. Sagar. Especially the peripheral doctors who are working in rural area or away from the headquarters, and they have confusion on this.
There's a question from Dr. Jamila. Due to COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of hospitals are experiencing a shortage of consultants. Most emergency wards are being managed by young doctors and head nurses who have not been very familiar with ECG interpretation. Imagine a patient walking an emergency department at 3 a.m. in the morning.
I think
whose
the
ECG
basic ECG on STD changes, and some of that.
ECG
we
looks-
get an ECG changes in the COVID patient, a lot of changes. There is always some phone from the emergency in the night. Even see this ECG changes with the shortness of breath, non-specific ECG changes, a lot of changes, and look for the ECG which indicate the serious problem like the acute pulmonary embolism. One patient had pulmonary embolism in the COVID positive patient. He had a classical RPH with a strain in the ECG. Echo was not possible at that time in the night, but only ECG. We can diagnose the pulmonary embolism if we have a low saturation in the CT, and you can advise for the CTPA in the morning. But the ECG can give a guide, and by sending the ECG in WhatsApp, you have an RPH and strain pattern. in the ECG with S1Q3 T3 pattern. A lot of things we can diagnose by the ECG. So sending the ECG to the consultant and asking the advice is very, very important, and you can do the investigation accordingly.
Thank you, sir. We have another question about primary indication of ICD implantation and hazards effects of ICD.
Primary indications, the common primary indication which are we using is the the symptomatic VT in patient with LV dysfunction, especially when the LV function is less than 35. Even there is the indication of putting the ICD prophylactic. We had an ejection fraction of less than 35, even in the dilated cardiomyopathy or ischemic cardiomyopathy. Another indication is the HOCM patient who are symptomatic. A lot of indications in the HOCM patient, any family history of certain cardiac death, or the thickness is more than 30, IS thickness is very, very high, and patient has a history of NSVT or VT in the Holter. So in HOCM also, long QT syndrome, if there is if you exclude the drug-induced long QT syndrome or any secondary cause of long QT, then it is all right. Any primary, if there is a primary long QT syndrome, we can put directly to the ICD, because sudden cardiac death is very, very common in the long QT syndrome. So these are the usual common primary indication, or other secondary indications are a lot of theirs. But these are the usual indication in India. We are putting the ICD, HOCM, LV dysfunction, primary arrhythmias like QT syndrome, and other things.
Any other question? Any other question? They can raise their hand or type in the chat box. One more question is, sir, there. After how many days of post-MI-VT case ICD is implanted? After how many days of post-MI in VT ICD is to be implanted?
40 to 45 days. They recommend the ICD. If you have a still LV dysfunction, you can put ICD, but wait for 1.5 months at least. At least 1.5 months we have to wait for putting the ICD. It doesn't matter that VT, if it is recurrent VT, even after the 1 or 2 weeks, if it is a secondary VT, not the primary VT, if it is secondary VT, even after the 2 or 3 weeks, some doctor used to put an ICD because this is life-threatening, so we can put it. But the usual recommendation is to put ICD, wait for 1.5 months, and even that the LV dysfunction is there, you can put the ICD. You wait for 1.5 months.
Any other question? Any comment from our chairpersons? Sarkar sir.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Deepak Gupta. Wonderful presentation. Particularly, I have said earlier also, and as you present, it's a very, very clinical thing which are very near to our heart. We very much liked it, and this gives a lot of takeaway message to our attendees. Thank you very much.
Please hold on. Please hold on. I request our chairpersons to kindly felicitate our speaker, Dr. Deepak sir, with the certificate.
How to give this video?
We also request sir to kindly accept faculty certificate on behalf of CardioZone 2020, Dr. PG Sarkar sir, Dr. Arun Sarkar sir, Sentmarai ma'am from Chennai, and Dr. Arun More from Latur. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Deepak.
Thank you so much. We have next session at around 11 o'clock, which is a very